Molly by Golly. The Legend of Molly Williams, America's first female firefighter. Written by Diane Ochiltree, illustrated by Kathleen Kimley. Our Molly is as fine a cook as any in New York City, the lads of Fire Company Number 11 like to boast. In fact, she's wondrous fine. Molly's hasty pudding is the tastiest, the captain always said. No, sir, Isaac would declare. It's her chicken roly-poly makes a man mouth water. Hot apple tansy is Molly's most delicious dish, Jonas was sure to insist. The argument will go around the fire company's table until the very last bite of venison stew or codfish muddle had disappeared. But on one thing the men agreed. Molly by Golly put hands and heart to every task, in or out of the kitchen. One wintry day, she proved just how wondrous fine she could be. Inside the cozy kitchen of Mr. Amar's house, Molly Williams briskly whisked cornmeal, eggs, and buttermilk in an earthenware bowl. Outside, snowflakes swirled thick as cream. Snowdrifts stood tall as haystacks. Molly stirred growing embers in the hearth oven, and worried. As the Johnny cakes baked, a fierce wind knocked at the door and whistled through the chinks in the red bricked walls. Molly worried more. Snow covered the neighborhood that morning, and a terrible sickness had spread like a thick blanket over scores of households. Influenza. Many of the volunteer firefighters were already sick. Even Mr. Amar lay in bed with it. Molly scratched the upturned chin of Eliza, one of her many household cats, and wondered aloud, if a blaze sparks in a blizzard such as this, what will our poor fire lads do? Molly recognized the sound growing louder above the whine of the snowstorm. Had her worry about the fire come true? Church bells clanged. They sang out a fire alarm. The number of times they chimed told Molly just where the trouble was. Something's afire, Eliza, and it's nearby, she exclaimed. Molly wrapped a heavy woolen shawl around her shoulders and dashed out to spread the news. Molly spied a small knot of neighborhood boys speeding towards her with lanterns held high. Runners. Molly by Golly led them through the snow-filled alleyways in icy cobblestone street. The runners rattled clackers and rang muffin bells. Fire! They all called. Come out! Come out! Men burst from their homes with bootstraps flapping and coattails flying. Women and children tossed out leather water buckets. Molly and the runners scooped them up as they raced to the fire company's equipment shed. Volunteers busily loaded axes, pull-down hooks, and coils of rope into the fire wagon. Molly took a quick count. She'd never seen so few men answer a call. The captain lifted the buckets from her aching arms. Molly by Golly, he said, you're always ready to lend a hand. These hands can do more than just bake Johnny cakes, she thought. She clapped a weathered leather helmet on her head, strapped spattle dashes over her woolen legs, and pulled on the heavy work gloves. Wait for me, she cried. Molly by Golly, explained the surprised captain. He waved her over to the line of men struggling to drag the heavy pumper engine into the snowy street. Molly took her place on the rope and gripped it hard. All heave-ho, lads and lady, the captain ordered. Get this pumper on its way. 1, 2, 3, pull! They chanted. Molly and the men rolled the pumper engine straight away into the street. They dragged it through swiftly drifting snow. Wintry wind whipped at Molly's face and hands, but she never lost her grip. Soon Molly saw ribbons of soot swirling between snowflakes. She heard frightened voices floating through the frozen air. Then there it was, a small wooden house, ablaze. Step lively now, cried the captain through his tin-speaker trumpet. Fire wagon and pumper to the side yard. Volunteers and bucket to the river. Close to the snowy bank, the captain chopped holes in the thick ice. Jonas and Isaac dropped buckets into the frigid water flowing below. Molly and the others formed a bucket brigade, passing water hand to hand, filling the tank fast. Start pumping and be quick about it, the captain shouted. Molly jumped to join the men at the pumper engine sides. They cranked the heavy, long pump handles until water gushed into a steady stream from the fire hose. Hour after hour, Molly sprayed burning timber. Angry flames hissed and spit each time water hit them. Molly pulled down chunks of burning roof with a hook iron rod. Flaming shingles melted the snow the moment they hit the ground. Choking smoke crept into Molly's nose. Cinders clung to her woolen shawl. A wall of heat warmed her cheeks. My fire lads won't let this fire win, and neither will I, she thought. The fire raged and roared with the fury of a wild bobcat, until at last it was out. The Van Horn family shivered in their snowy yard. A haze of smoke surrounded them. They were thankful to be alive, glad the fire had not spread throughout the neighborhood. Bone-tired, Molly took her place on the drag rope to pull the bumper back to the shed. Jonas, Isaac, and the other volunteers rushed to her side, broad smiles on their soot-covered faces. "Hooray for our new company volunteer," they cheered. "Molly, by golly, you're as fine as a fire lad as any," added the captain. "In fact, you're wondrous fine." Hey friends, it's me, Miss Olivia. Thank you so much for listening in to the true story of Molly Williams, Molly by Golly. Please support the author and illustrator of this book by purchasing your very own copy. I hope you enjoyed listening to this story as much as I enjoyed reading it to you. Until next time, my name is Miss Olivia. This is Miss Olivia Reads, and I cannot wait for you to join me for another reading adventure very soon. Bye, friends.